Hi, I'm Joan Newcomb, and today's Mystic Minute is Seeing Beyond the Labels. I was at this leadership training a couple of weeks ago, and I saw a handout that was based on, I believe it was like conflict resolution. However, the way it was doing it, it was spotting people's behavior and giving it labels, and then what to do with a person who was that label. And I had a really strong reaction to it because people aren't their labels. And when you look at someone's behavior and go, oh, they're a that kind of thing, then you're immediately just looking at the one-dimensional aspect of what's going on. And it becomes much more inhibitive of trying to actually create a positive change. I mean, that's when you are labeling that person, scapegoating that person, avoiding that person, talking behind their back. Oh, that person is squirrely and I don't trust them. That person's unreliable and such. That's just not a useful way to engage in the world or to engender positive change. What's more useful is to look behind the behavior. Because sometimes a person who may seem unreliable in the moment, if you realize the background story, they might be going through a divorce. They might be suffering from depression. They might be new to the situation and faking it until they make it. When you can look behind the behavior and see the person, then it actually opens it up and allows them to fulfill their own potential. It opens the atmosphere in the group that you're in to be a safe place for people to grow and make changes. But when you're looking at people through that label, well, then they're going to only fulfill that label for you. They're stuck. There's no change when you're viewing people through a label. And the other interesting thing is when you're labeling somebody, there's the finger pointing, but look, there's 3 fingers pointing back at you. What are you doing when you're labeling other people? And I have been guilty of this myself, in not necessarily the label, but getting stuck at viewing people through these particular slides, and that's alcoholic behavior. Well, what does that mean? Somebody who has the disease of alcoholism is going to have some personality tendencies, but there's a whole spectrum of how that can be expressed, and it may or may not be dysfunctional in the workplace, or it might be something they are not actually an alcoholic themselves. They grew up in an alcoholic home, and that's something that they can overcome. You can create an environment in your workplace or group or whatever that allows for different behaviors to happen. And you can model that yourself by not labeling people and looking behind their behaviors. I actually, when I think about this too, when I've watched this happen, there's several factors that go into a person, pointing the finger at someone else. It could actually be that, the person pointing the finger is not feeling really comfortable in their own leadership role, and so they need to put people down and make them less than so that they feel more than. They could also feel fearful of being in the situation. I mean, I've done that a lot, where I feel insecure or that person is affecting my reality, so I'm pointing the finger at that person because my reality is affected. And you know what? That's not useful either, because that person isn't changing my reality. I am. So I find when I shift my own reality, it changes the reality around me. And then it becomes more about the energy of a situation rather than the personalities that are involved. I also look at it as operating from my principles about the situation rather than the individuals and their quirks. But often it's a case of having to change the culture of the workplace or the group environment as well. The culture might be one of, dog eat dog, or getting ahead and being winners and losers, and that's kind of an old paradigm of success, and really doesn't create a strong foundation that lifts everybody up. And you might just be wanting to change this in your own life and change the environment with your kids so that you don't replicate your own family patterns. You might be wanting to change this in your own group situation where you'd like more people to join, and it's not working the way it is right now. Change yourself and it creates a ripple effect of change. So if you notice that you're labeling people, try taking the slide down and viewing them from a greater awareness as consciousness. They are consciousness as well. They may be acting unconsciously. They may be part of a bigger picture. We're witnessing a lot of unconscious behavior in the world today, and when I can step back and maybe view it from a historic standpoint, the behavior I'm seeing, whether I'm labeling it as, oh, that's a narcissist, that is a racist, or something like that, they're a catalyst for change. They are bringing these things to light so that we as a collective in the world can make it better. And that's actually happening. So even as the darkness is being exposed, the darkness is being reflected to us, change is coming up from a grassroots level, and it's a pretty miraculous time to be alive. So if you like these videos, you can subscribe to them on YouTube. You can also sign up below to get them in your inbox. If you want to know more, my website is joan-newcomb.com. I have a weekly podcast and radio show. I also write a weekly blog and newsletter. I do meetups around the Puget Sound from Seattle, Bellevue, Tacoma, and University Place. I do a monthly webinar. And if you want to know more about how to navigate your life as consciousness, how to de-energize those slides to see the world from a bigger perspective, then go to my website, joan-newcomb.com, and look at my coaching programs. So you go to joan-newcomb.com, and I'll see you in another couple days with another Mystic Minute.